Thank you very much for coming down and doing the first one with us.
This is the first one.
This is absolutely the first one. So this will be the first one of Fancy a Sprue, the Clubhouse chat that we're going to be doing, a little chat. So today we've got a good friend of mine, a long-standing friend of mine, Andrew Carr. Do you want to give us a little introduction about yourself? Who are you? What you do? How do you find yourself at Clubhouse?
I find myself at Clubhouse from both you and Adam, who I've known for many years.
Long, good years.
Good. So many years we've known each other.
Yeah.
Back, because if I were to talk about, history of gaming, you're important in my history of gaming.
I am very honoured
bringing
to be
me
mentioned.
Part of a few people, I would say, not many people, who have brought me back into gaming.
Fantastic to hear.
After,
That's wonderful.
After teenage years. So yes, we've known each other probably about, not be 20 years, would it?
17, I want to say something about that. 17 or 18 years. It's
Yeah.
You could probably buy a beer now, which is good.
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
It's good. Certainly, yeah. If they look a little bit older, then
Yeah. All right. So yeah, you're a long-standing gamer. You've been in the hobby for a while now. Do you remember your first instance with the board gaming, with war gaming, that sort of thing? Do you remember the first time that you sort of interacted with it and thought, "Oh, I really like this"?
I suppose my parents would play like Trivial Pursuits and stuff, and the more kind of typical things. For me, I think, do you remember the Fighting Fantasy books?
Yes,
from
Choose
the
Your Own
1980s?
Adventure. Yeah.
So when I was kind of pre-teen, I would get them, the local library stocked them, you would get them from W.H. Smith's, and they were like proper top sellers. That kind of got me into the whole hobby a little bit.
Yeah.
And then late 90s, late 80s, you got all the kind of Hero Quest and kind of mass-produced MB stuff, Space Crusade, and at the same time, I was kind of getting into, it was the second edition Blood Bowl, I think. Space Hulk came out. It was a really classic time for Games Workshop. So I was kind of getting into that. And at the same time, when I started high school, there was a group of us played D&D on a lunchtime.
Beautiful.
That turned into Rifts, if anyone remembers Rifts.
That's not one that I know.
You've never heard of Rifts?
No.
Oh, it was great. So I kind of got into it then. But then as I kind of got into my teenage years, everything kind of just stopped. And I remember being about like 18, 19 and just selling everything for 50 quid. Oh. And I'm talking epic scale, like tons, proper old school Rogue Trader metal miniatures and everything. Yeah. Because at the time, the people I played with, the people I knew weren't gamers predominantly, into films more, into going out drinking, clubbing, that type of thing, but not gamers. And then in my 20s, I started mixing with other people, yourself included, who were more kind of hobby interested. Yeah. And then I started buying everything back at like 6 times the price through eBay and gradually building up. And about the same time, HeroClix came out. And I know we've spoken about this before.
Massive, so
HeroClix, a massive thing for me as a proper comic nerd. I started buying HeroClix obsessively, really obsessively. And I've still got them all. I don't do anything with them.
I did see you trying to sell off loads a while ago. This must have been a long time ago.
Tried to sell
market at Whitley Bay, and you were attempting to sell off, and I was
just
blown
spares.
away.
That was
by
just
your
spare stuff I had, and
crazy.
I've still got a ton of stuff, and I don't know. I'm aware that that kind of, I'm like that. Once I start, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Once I start on something, I'm like,
I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm in. Yeah.
So HeroClix, and then we started getting into things like Pandemic. When that Pandemic, I've got an original release of Pandemic with the wooden blocks, because I got it when it first came out. And fortunately, I had friends like yourself, and I was able to. My wife's a gamer. I've now got 2 kids who are gamers and will play stuff way above their kind of expected age range.
I've lost to them. They're excellent.
Yeah, so that's kind of my history. I've kind of got into gaming, came out of gaming a little bit, and then have come back into it.
Fantastic. I would touch back on the HeroClix there as well. Did you find HeroClix was a perfect synergy between your 2 big loves of board games and comic books?
It was absolutely ideal, and the fact that you could mix DC and Marvel characters
Yeah.
And yeah,
And
then
had
there
all
was
the
a
obscure ones as
collectability,
well.
obscure characters. There was a
Yeah.
collectability, just like with collectible card games, you would buy a box and you
Mm-hmm.
would look for the rare figures, and some figures would go for a fortune, and some figures were
Yeah.
excellent to actually play.
It's got that thing to keep you on the hook.
Yeah. Firelord from the first set was massively overpowered.
Yeah.
Everyone would always use Firelord. And I'd try to get my wife to play once, and my nephew and I would play a lot.
Yeah.
And the three of us were going to have a game, and my nephew was like, right, I want to play like a 2,000 point army. And we spent an hour setting this up, got like 2 turns in, and she was like,
No, it's not
this
for
is
me.
not for me.
Oh, bless.
So, yeah.
But look, at least you tried. That's one thing you can say
Exactly.
for your wife, is that she will give anything a shot. It's really good. Right. Well, thank you very much for that very in-depth look at how you got into board games. The next thing I'd like to move on and talk about, everyone loves a little bit of a whinge. Everyone loves a little bit of a grumble. And I'd like to talk about something we're going to call the hobby pure chore. So if you're not familiar with Geordie slang, so if something's a pure chore, it's a pain. It's an absolute pain. It's something you want to grumble about. So this thing that you love, the thing that is a big part of your life, what do you hate about it? What's getting on your nerves
I
about the
hate
hobby?
the fact that there isn't enough time. Between work and all of the commitments, finding the time to play. My pile of shame
Yeah.
is ridiculous. I've got games from 10, 15 years ago still in cellophane,
I've seen.
expansions and things like that. And it just don't get on. Just don't get on to doing them.
That's it. Life gets in the way. It really does.
It absolutely does. And I think more and more as I'm getting older, I'm going for those quick win games that
Yeah.
you can set up and play.
That like take a couple of minutes. Like you don't need a lot of space. Off you go.
Yeah.
Nice mechanics to get your head around really quickly.
Like
really
my days
rewarding.
of Twilight Imperium. Twilight Imperium, I've played it around 4 times. The only times I've ever finished it, you're looking at 11 or 12 hours.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
there's
Who's
just
got
not-
that? No one's got that. No adult has got that.
No.
No. It is a real killer. Scheduling is the absolute killer of the adult game world.
Absolutely. And
Really
that
is.
is my chore. It is finding the time
Absolutely.
to play games.
I completely agree. The amount of D&D campaigns I've been in and started that have just died because people's work schedules don't match up.
Well, we had a D&D campaign
Exactly.
going for a couple of years, and it would
It just fell apart.
During lockdown, we were able to do it because everybody was stuck at home. But
that's
it was,
the one time that it had a
was
real
regular.
resurgence where
Yeah.
scheduling didn't become an issue. It was it was really good. And then we come back out of it, and everyone's trying to live their lives again. I feel like I'm busier coming out the back of that than I was previously. I felt like I had quite a bit of time to set aside to play games. Now it's few and far. I'm gonna highlight something we were talking about earlier on this evening. We would started playing Gloomhaven.
Yes.
We did. How long have we been playing Gloomhaven now?
It's Jaws of the Lion we've been playing, which is
So that's the intro to Gloom.
that teaches you how to play Gloomhaven, and I wouldn't even say we're halfway through.
Nah.
And
Yeah.
we're probably on course to finish normal Gloomhaven in about 2080.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah.
If we're
it's
still alive.
If we're still
You will
alive.
be. You're younger
I would
than
love.
me.
I would love to actually get through it, but I think even if we went back to Jaws of the Lion, I'm gonna have to start again, or at least have a long crack at it to get
I'd
my
be
head
the
back
same.
on. I've forgotten how to play, but what I did play with you, the few games we did have was fantastic.
Oh, you can see why it's
Yeah,
like,
but I mean the
one of the top
intro
games.
to it is a massive game in itself.
yeah,
Like, I don't know how anyone has had the time to actually play actual Gloomhaven.
yeah.
But yeah, scheduling can absolutely get in the bin. It really can. Yeah. Okay, that's good. I think everyone out there, anyone that's listening to this, will absolutely agree that scheduling is a huge bugbear.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if it comes up in later chats with other people.
Absolutely.
Okay, right, we've had a bit of a whinge, we've had a bit of a grumble. Now let's talk about something that we like. So we're going to talk about the hobby proper score. Proper score in Geordie slang is something that's really good. Something
Makes you
that's,
happy.
It makes you happy, something you smile about, something that you feel proud about, or something that surprised you in a good way. So Let's hear it. What's got the feel goods going for you right now?
What has surprised me at the moment is Star Wars Unlimited.
What a game.
So I have dodged collectible card games my entire life because of the HeroClix problem. Because once I start, that's it.
Yeah.
And I'm aware that I can't just dive down that rabbit hole of buying a million cards.
Yeah.
However, I resisted, and I resisted until the end of last year when Tom Vassel's top 10 games of 2025, number one was Star Wars Unlimited. Now, he's known as a board gamer. He's not a war gamer. He's not a card gamer as such. It's pure board games.
So for that to come in,
and
that
I
was
just
a big...
thought, that's something clever. And we'd had a couple of games of Lorcana, which I thought, it's good, but...
Quite enjoy it, yeah.
Star Wars is more a thing for me. And I can't remember where I read it, maybe in like Tabletop Gaming or somewhere, that it said that you don't need to spend a fortune. You can buy the starter decks, which are, £30, whatever. There's enough game there for two people to play the game.
Absolutely.
So I thought, right, I'll take a punt, I'll buy that. I've played the Star Wars deck building game, that's like the standalone one. I love that, and I thought, even if it just sits with that and it's an alternative, I'll have a try. Didn't even play it because you don't have the time. Then I saw on offer, so I bought the Luke and Vader starter.
Nice, lovely.
Because I was aware that was an older deck, maybe going to be harder to get in the future. I then saw the Mandalorian deck.
That's the one I've got. That's the one that hooked me on it. That's the one that made me slip and fall.
So I picked that up. Finally had a game with one of my daughters. She played as Moff Gideon. I played as the Mandalorian. She beat me, which is typical.
It's to be expected with your
And then we had the event last week here at Clubhouse, which was superb. I didn't do great. I'll be the first to hold my hands up, but it was just so much fun. And I'm now invested. I'm going to keep it controlled. I may have bought 2 decks when I arrived here at Clubhouse tonight, but I'm trying to keep it reasonably controlled. But it's a genuinely good game, and I would say to anyone who's a board gamer and is like, I'm not into Pokemon, I'm not into Lorcana, you don't need to invest heavily. You can get away with just getting a starter pack, and 2 people can play, and it's an excellent game.
Yeah, really is. I did very similar to you. I got a round 2 buy in a Blood Bowl tournament that I was in. I travelled to, and I just I was staring at it. It was on the shelf in the local game store that I was at. But then they also had the soft shell case for the Mandalorian, and it had the Mandalorian sleeves, and I was like, oh no, it's calling to us. All my friends are playing it. Do I have FOMO? They've got starter decks. I could just play with one. And then there we go. I was like, well, I'm getting that. And I was like, well, I might as well buy some booster packs. So I get the little excitement of opening the packs as well. So I did that, and then I got loads of the guy because I was in a round 2 buy for the Blood Bowl tournament. So I just had 2 hours spare. He was like, well, I've got all these promo cards. Why don't you have some of those as well? And the sitting opening the packs while everyone around me was playing Blood Bowl, and that me opening the pack, and everyone was like, this card's been opened, what's going on? Like, I fell in hard now. So it's a great game though. I love the mechanics of it. I like the separation between the ground and space units.
And the new rules with the pilots.
The pilots, it's great.
So you've got your character, and you can go, right, well, I can put them on the ground. I can put Darth Vader on the ground with his lightsaber taking out troops on the ground, or I can stick him in a TIE fighter and make the TIE fighter ridiculously
go
good.
bananas with him.
It's such a good game.
It's very good. It's really good. The way that the activations work as well, I think that's really cool. I quite like that. Like the fight to get everything done that you want to get done before you try and snatch initiative is another really cool part of it. I quite like that. Like it's incredibly tactical.
And it's not pay to win.
No.
You can literally have a starter deck and play reasonably competitively against people who have built a deck for themselves. Yeah. It's obviously fun to deck build, but you can just use a starter deck.
That was the really fun bit of the event that we did here at Clubhouse, that the draft event where we're ripping packs. Yeah. We're jumping in and we're trying to build a deck, and I'm like, well, I'm very new to this, so building a deck. And then seeing how that performed, I really enjoyed that. I didn't do very. I think I lost all 3 of my matchups as well. I didn't do very well, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a really, really good game. It's a very good game. Okay, fantastic. That is an excellent thing to be excited about. So Star Wars Unlimited. fantastic. Cards available at Clubhouse. Anyone who wants to come down. Right. Okay, so we've talked about Star Wars Unlimited. That's something you've played recently that you really enjoyed. What else have you played recently that you would like to give some special mention to?
Recently with the family, we've played Bomb Busters.
Okay.
So that's...
Talk a little bit about Bomb
kind
Busters.
of working together to defuse bombs.
Right.
You can't see what the other players have got, but you can kind of work it out.
Okay.
It's cooperative, but with limited communication.
Right.
And it's
okay,
just
lovely.
nice. You get so many scenarios with the starter box. It came out last year.
Yeah.
So I got it for Christmas, maybe just after Christmas. We've started playing that, so I enjoy that.
No, that sounds very similar to Sky Team, something we were playing.
Yep, so we played
Yeah.
Sky Team here a couple of times, which is 2-player.
Yeah.
Very, very simple. I think I taught it in maybe
should
like
be.
5 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got the hang of it straight away.
And you're just
Absolutely.
rolling dice, placing the dice, and trying to work together to land planes. And I
Yeah.
think we did do it eventually.
We
Didn't
managed it,
We
yeah.
did. We played it
Heathrow-
once, and then we did Heathrow in the
Yeah,
fog,
Heathrow was,
and it was
that was a bit tricky.
challenging.
There was a lot of air traffic around Heathrow that was getting to her.
But-
That was quite good.
It's a quality game.
But again, that's one of those cooperative ones where it's limited communication, and you're just trying to,
Yeah.
you're just hoping that you both got a similar goal in mind at that point in that time, and that your dice match up. Yeah, it was really. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
It was very good.
Even
It's
when we
quick.
were crashing the plane, I was like, "This is really good fun." Yeah.
What else? Marvel United is excellent. I got the most recent Kickstarter for that. That is a lot of fun. Again, something I can play with the kids. Most recent game I had, we'd been working through the X-Men characters, the villains, and we had tried about half a dozen times to meet Magneto.
Yeah.
And we could not beat him using the basic X-Men characters.
Yeah.
And I'd got the Kickstarter, and I had a load of other characters. And one of my daughters wanted to be possibly Silk or someone.
All right. Okay.
Other daughter decided she was going to be Howard the Duck. And I'm like, we cannot beat Magneto with Howard the Duck. We've tried with all of the X-Men. And yet, at one point in the game, you've got the Blob is one of the villains who's quite hard to take down. Mm-hmm. And my daughter just goes, just leave the Blob to me. And she had a card, and Howard the Duck had some massive gun, and was able to take the Blob. And we're just like, wow, we've actually beat Magneto for the first time using Howard the Duck and just random characters. Mantis, that's my other daughter wanted to be Mantis.
So, Howard the Duck with this huge gun.
Howard the Duck with this huge gun. So that's great. And one game that I will always sing the praises of is the G.I. Joe deck building game. So you probably notice I'm really into kind of your games based on properties,
based on
culture, intellectual properties. Yeah, absolutely. If you can get a game that captures the essence of a game, that's what the G.I. Joe board game does. You can play it solo. I've played it with 2, but normally I played solo, and it's just tactical. You're getting the vehicles, you're building your deck, and you're putting your troops out. So there might be a mission that you're going to send a load of people on with a jeep. And you're selecting the people for that task, but then you've got a ninja creating havoc over here, so you send Snake Eyes in on a motorbike on a one-man mission. Mm-hmm. It's just thematic. It just works really well.
How many players is that?
You can go up to 4.
Up to 4. Is it play similar to Radlands?
No, because this is cooperative more than... Radlands is another great game.
Radlands is fantastic. That's something you introduced me to. And it is absolutely fantastic. It's one of my favourite little deck building games that you've got going on. Well, it's not really deck building, though, is it? You've got a deck and you're playing. It's more tower defence, isn't it?
It's kind of tower defence. There's a deck building element to it because you
are cycling through cards and trying to work out what you're playing and who's going where and.
But probably more tower defence because you've got your 3 bases that you've got to defend, and you play cards to defend each one.
I think that's one of the reasons why I quite like Star Wars Unlimited, because it has that feel. It has that bit of a feel of Radlands, and I really enjoy it because you are trying to protect your base and you're playing things. It's got a excuse me. There's a similarity with the tactics that I find, which I really enjoy.
The Star Wars deck building game is the same. Mm-hmm. You have your base, and you play your cards out to defend it, and it just works well as a game.
Fantastic, excellent. Talk about Marvel United a bit. How are the mechanics of that work? Just for people that have never heard of it, don't play it.
It's cooperative, and you play as a character, so you have a miniature, and they're these chibi style Marvel.
The ones with the big heads.
Characters.
Yeah.
So you select your character, you select your villain, and you can just adapt it. So there's versions with Galactus just with a giant
Oh my god.
miniature. There's so many different villains, but each villain plays differently.
Yeah.
And you draw cards and set up 6 locations in a circle and move between them. But what makes it quite unique is you will play a card from your hand, and you can use the abilities of the card that was played by the previous player.
Oh,
and the
nice.
next player can play. So it's not just a case of you're thinking about your turn. You're thinking, well, if I play this card that gives me movement and attack, I'm giving movement and attack to the next player for them. So you're working together to a bit like
nice.
Pandemic. You're kind of firefighting. You're trying to rescue civilians, defeat thugs, take out other enemies, and then once you get so far into it, the main villain becomes vulnerable and you can start attacking
like
them.
that.
But it's beautiful. If you haven't played it yet,
I've never played it, no, but it sounds.
that.
I like the idea of a game that is trying to force you to be very conscious of the next person in the sequence to you.
It's very good. And some of the characters have their own cards that have with special abilities which don't transfer to the next person.
Yeah.
So Wolverine does a load of damage, and you keep playing cards to damage people, but maybe not so good on movement and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll have to have a game.
We will definitely. Okay, we'll put that on the list.
Massive to-do list.
Okay.
If we do that after Gloomhaven, then we're maybe looking at 2081.
Okay.
August.
August 2081. Fantastic. I'll meet you in the cemetery, I guess.
For a cloud. You and me.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we'll be reanimated just for that game. Excellent. All right. Okay. Fantastic. The last thing I want to ask you about in this nice little interview, nice little chat we've been having, is what are you looking forward to playing next? What's next? What's on your to-do list or your to-play list?
There's a couple of games I'm looking at. There's a game called A Rapper Mine, which is not yet, from what I can tell, available over here, and it's a bit like, what's the one with the battleships? It's a bit like that.
Right.
You've got a grid that the other person can't see, and you place these like triangles and things on the grid, and the person will give a grid reference like an X or Y axis.
Okay.
And you would say, right, if a laser bounced off in there, where would it come out, and what colour would it be? So if it goes in and bounces off a green triangle and comes out on the Y-axis at a certain point, at a certain colour, it gives a clue to the other person. They've got to figure out what you've got positioned where. So it's very kind of not tactical, but very kind of, figuring out what you've done. So that I would quite like to get. Freedom 5 is getting amazing reviews. It's a massive superhero game that came out last year. There's Kickstarter versions very expensive with miniatures, but there's the normal version's a bit more reasonable. I'd quite like to try that.
Okay, what's Freedom 5 about? What's the
I don't know fully. It's just you're playing as superheroes and you're battling villains around a city. You're rescuing civilians, but it is so well reviewed by everybody who's played it. I just think
superheroes and good reviews. Okay, I can see
I
why you're
bought
looking
a big
for it.
game.
Yeah.
So maybe that.
Fantastic.
And expansions for everything else: Star Wars, G.I. Joe. Other games. So that's my future.
Fantastic. Well, I really hope you manage to find the time to get involved and get those games played.
So do I.
In the future. All right. Excellent. Well, thank you very much for talking to us today, Andrew.
It's
been an absolute pleasure. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you for taking us on a trip into your journey into hobbies and board games. It's been lovely. Thank you for joining me on Fancy a Sprue. Let's do a little sign off. Thank you very much for listening today to this podcast, this YouTube video that we've put out, the first one. Many more to come, hopefully.
Yeah. Chat between old friends.
It has been a chat between old friends. Very old friends. Okay. Thank you very much for watching. Okay. This is where Adam says, that was shit, you're going to do it again.
This is where Adam says, I wasn't recording.
Yeah, that was shit, you're going to have to do it.